Hey y'all, it is September the 27th, 2019, and you're already seeing the headline. Trust me, it's gonna get detailed, and it's gonna get even better than you can imagine, right? But before we dive into this, I wanted to say, first of all, feel free to go to the link below and subscribe to my other channel, because certainly things that I share here on this channel gonna get me banned. All right, eventually, I'm actually just one strike away from being permanently banned uh, on this channel right here. All right, and also another point I wanted to bring up is that a lot of times what I share, some people find it comedic, the way that I share things. And I don't blame them, because the thing is, ever since I was a little bitty baby, I realized, if I want attention, I got to be funny, basically. And, that's what I learned. And I realized this kind of recently. That's why I am so funny. That's why people find me so funny, is because it's kind of like just out of habit, right? If I want attention, that's what I realized. But with all that in consideration, the thing is, what I want to stress right now is that I do it. I share things that are humorous, but at the same time, I don't mean to be entertaining necessarily. Like, I'm not trying to be an entertainer, and at the same time, I'm not trying to be popular. I'm not trying to be a popular entertainer or anything. What I want to be is a kind of a motivating person, a motivational person for everybody who's listening, and myself especially, to motivate myself to get out and do something. Because here's the thing, we're under attack at every angle. You should know that. Most people who come to my channel, they'll agree. We're in the end times. All right. This headline might be a little hint at that. Yeah, we're in the end times. But what I want to stress is that it's not a spectator sport that we're in. You can take my word for it, but we can't, especially me, we can't just sit back and like let everything happen necessarily. The whole point, technically, is that it's a test. We're being tested by who? You got it. You got it right. That's God. God's wanting to see what we'll do. All right. God's trying to see what kind of zeal we have, and what kind of fire He can light up under us. All right. And I get the feeling that, if we refrain from being motivated, and I'm not saying offensive violence towards anybody, I don't believe in that. But what I'm saying is, we got to do something. We got to do something, because we're under attack. And more importantly than that, the little babies are under attack, right? They're being murdered. I gotta reiterate, and people are celebrating it, right? It is over the top, all right? I just wanted to put that out there, and suggest that everybody, to including especially myself, we got to do something. Like I said, it's not offensive violence. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm saying we got to do something to protect the babies, all right? Because they're what's most important. Guess what? That's the future. Speaking of that, I think we're going to just go ahead and dive into this story real quick. You're seeing an adorable picture of this little girl. She was done wrong. I'm not sure how and what ways, but I'm just saying, I don't think she's brought up correctly, and I know that might be hateful and stuff like that, but we got to protect the babies, all right? And so if you haven't seen this, I know it's not national news. Let's just dive into it. All right. Teen had a tantrum over not getting enough tomatoes at dinner. It landed her in jail. All right. And let me just tell you also, I have experience in farming and farmers marketing and stuff like that. And I want to get back into that, man. That's really the life that I like to live, to be honest. That's kind of a dream of mine, to get back into that farmers market. The thing is, I like to help the environment. I love the environment. All right, that little girl, what's her name? Gosh, I forget her name already. She's very forgettable. That 12-year-old girl that says nobody is helping the environment and we're all ruining her future. What she doesn't realize is that I love the environment. In fact, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who actually love the environment and are doing stuff proactively right now to help the environment. And she doesn't realize that because she's being abused in many different various ways. And with that being said, I want to say that I know for a fact, even though that the news didn't bring it up, that the tomatoes that this little girl is getting violent over, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to go through the article in a second. Those are field tomatoes, and that I can promise you, all right? Because if you ever spent time in with farmers and farmers marketing, you know that people go crazy over field tomatoes. They go crazy over them, and in fact, field tomatoes are a different world altogether in comparison to like hothouse tomatoes, which is basically most of the time what you're going to find in your local stores and stuff like that. If you want field tomatoes, for the most part, you're going directly to the farmers markets and stuff like that. And trust me, you'll go crazy over them. It's a whole different world. People used to always eat field tomatoes, and they're absolutely different from hothouse tomatoes, from the tomatoes that you find in the store, typically. So with that being said, let's just dive in because I don't have too much time to this article, and I think you're gonna find it like I did to be pretty entertaining. And sometimes we gotta entertain ourselves, right? According to the police report from the Nassau County Sheriff's Office, on the evening of September 12th, Katie Jade Gates began to throw a fit when she could not get more than her fair share of tomatoes. Right? Finally, members attempted to reprimand the 19-year-old to no avail, and she became enraged. All right. According to witness statements, Katie first threw a water bottle that missed hitting anyone. Then she launched a pack of cigarettes, which hit her 73-year-old grandmother in the eye. All right. All my grandparents were dead before I knew it, to be honest, when I was a little kid and stuff. But I just, to this day, couldn't imagine doing any sort of thing at all, ever. All right. Towards my grandparents. That's just unfathomable to me. After Gates's grandfather stepped in to discipline the young woman, the suspect grabbed a knife and began to chase him with it, according to the complaint. And I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that those are the allegations. The victim ran out of the house as his granddaughter was yelling, "Mother effer, I'll stab you in your effing face." This is over tomatoes, y'all. The grandmother called the police, and Gates was arrested. She was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated battery on a person over 65. Dang, I thought there was more to it. I know that there was more to it. I saw an article where there was more to it. Hold on one second. Stupid Miami Herald. Miami Herald let us down. I know I've seen an article with more to the story than that. Just a little bit more. Let's see if we can find it real quick. Deputies, Florida teen grabs grandparents, attacks grandparents after being denied more tomatoes. I forget what was the first article that I seen, but there's definitely just a little bit more to that. Okay, she threw a pack of cigarettes at her 73-year-old grandmother, hitting her in the eyeball. Okay, let's just read this one because it's probably a little bit more detailed. It's not, but all right. The teen is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated battery on the victim over the age of 65. The New York Post reports that Gates was released from jail on $18,000 bond. And while we try to find an article that is suitable, I forget which one is that I read before. I just want to mention the fact is that this little girl, she definitely she definitely was on psychotropic drugs, period. All right, there is no debating that. And that's not to say everyone on these drugs does these sort of things, but it's to say that everybody who's doing these things are definitely on these pills or popping these pills. All right, here's a little bit more of a detailed article, and I'm definitely ashamed of all these other publications who can't put a little bit more details. So of course, we're going to want to know details, right? So the young woman then allegedly chased her grandfather out of the house while brandishing a knife and threatened to stab him in the face. Gates allegedly made stabbing and poking motions with the knife at her grandfather. Police eventually arrived and questioned everyone involved. The report cites that Gates admitted to throwing the cigarette pack and picking up the knife, although she did not admit to making any threatening motions with the blade. And here's the thing, this is all alleged, all right? So I don't really know what happened, but the thing is, she probably did exactly that, and she probably forgot all about it, all right? The reason is because of the psychotropic drugs that she is on. Adorable little girl, man, to be honest with you. I mean, the thing is, that's how it usually takes place. Trust me, I've seen adorable little girls yell all sort of obscenities at their grandparents. Unfortunately, I have seen that. And this is not a very big stretch of the imagination that they would attack them with a knife over tomatoes. Like I said, those field tomatoes are like a dream come true, man. If you never had field tomatoes, if you're not in love with tomatoes, then I promise you, you never had field tomatoes. And yeah, I guess they're worth it, y'all. I guess they're worth threatening your grandparents with knives. Anyways, it's September the 27th, 2019. I appreciate y'all. Subscribe to my other channel because I'm going to get banned at any point in time. I'm hateful. I'm a hateful individual. And I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.